All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 288 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian and Daniel, and today it's just me and Daniel. Daniel, good to see you. Thank you for staying up late.
Yeah, no problem. We're on holiday, so it's no problem.
We're not on holiday, and
it seems like you don't have a lot of holidays over there.
No, we still believe in slave labor and no holidays, no fun, no health care. Pretty much. And I've had no health care this week, actually. My son's got the full-blown flu, went down to the clinic and, to get him checked out. And they're like, do you have insurance? Yeah, of course we do. This is the clinic we've come to for 15 years. Well, it had changed providers and we don't accept your insurance anymore. So
it seems to be a jungle out there when it comes to insurances in America.
Yeah, it always boggles the mind that you can have insurance, but it's worthless unless you're in the right place. And then the clinic now for, this is out of hours, is all the way across town in a place no one really wants to go. A very inconvenient place, but whatever. He's getting better and, obviously got fed well yesterday.
Yeah. I just watched the Rainmaker yesterday, actually. That's a kind of a cool film from the 90s that deals with insurances in America and how the big corporations, take advantage of the poor people.
Yeah, that's why an aspirin in the hospital is Yeah, it still goes on. Your aspirin in the hospital costs you $900, and you know what? If there was an easy solution, I'm sure someone would have figured it out. But there is no easy solution because, again, it's got corporations, lobbyists, and a lot of money involved. Whereas most people just want their health care. But this show is not politics. I ban politics on the board. Probably a good thing these days, but let's talk a little bit of Kiss. And obviously in the last month, our last episode, we were, what did we do? We did the top opening tracks, and we got called out. And Ken rightfully pointed out that he had picked I Want You, and it hadn't made the list.
I had I Want You on my list, but it didn't make it. I think I was the only one who had I Want You. Yeah.
And it is a really good song. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there are
tough competition.
I completely forgot Killers, and I'm a Legend Tonight. I always
that's a cool. That's a good one as well.
Didn't even make my radar. But again, Kiss has always been very good at selecting opening tracks on their own, other than Fanfare. On the original version of The Elder.
But I saw someone suggested we should do the bottom 10 opening tracks, but I can't think of... That'll be even harder because they're aside from Fanfare, I think all of them are good.
I think it'd be interesting to actually rank your least favorite, because it's not the worst. It's, these are the ones that are really way down my list. Well, which ones are they? And especially for those of us who kind of became fans in the 80s, that was totally skewed, that episode, with 3 Asylumites, kind of on there, and Lonnie in Revenge. But you get someone like Ken or someone who became a fan in the originals era, and a lot of theirs are going to be, obviously, those albums that meant the most to them as they were living them and that have kind of grown in stature in their head.
So interesting. I just met a guy. I went to university in a town called Växjö here in Sweden, and I met this guy who it's always fun to meet a Kiss fan, that you haven't met before. And he loved Unmasked. That was his first album, and he couldn't stand Rock and Roll Over. So it's people. I think I told him you're kind of a unique guy, hating Rock and Roll Over. He couldn't listen to Rock and Roll Over, but he loved Unmasked, so it's all good,
Yeah, and that's the thing I think people need to always remember is every Kiss fan is unique. Every Kiss fan has a unique history. It's like politics or any of the other garbage that you can discuss. Everyone's got their own perspectives. And when you start trying to say, well, your opinion's wrong, or you're an idiot because you love The Oath as an opening track, you just kind of lose track of how everyone got into Kiss and where Kiss has been in their stories along their lives.
Yeah, I guess that's correct. But The Oath over a lot of the others, I wouldn't agree with that. But it's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I know.
It was on my list again because part of it was more.
It's a good track.
More the story, and some of it is when you sit down and you actually think about these topics. You're like, well, what's my context for that? What's my story? Mm-hmm. And then you pick something that if we were just sitting in a bar having a couple of beers, might be completely different. That's the whole weird thing about when you kind of sit down and you think about it too much. Sometimes you do throw in The Oath because you're all of a sudden the story makes you feel fuzzier than I Want You. And that's just the weird stuff. All right, so in Kiss world, what's going on? Obviously this afternoon, new video has leaked for the masses, for the peasants who haven't already enjoyed this for years. It's the first night at Coventry, which when you read Kiss Alive Forever, they mentioned how the tape was overwritten with the second night, and only one and a bit song survived. So you have Deuce, the opening track. You've got a lot of silence at the beginning of the video, and then it's a different angle, of course, than the other version the following night, obviously. And then there's a bit of cold gin left. So again, now it's the earliest footage of Kiss to now circulate. You saw that today for the first time. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just cool. I think the guy who leaked it was one of the authors of Partners in Crime. Not Carl, but the other guy. So I don't know why he did that, but he always likes to share his findings, and I love it. A few months back, he shared his own, like his holy grail, and that was discovering I think it was like 7 minutes from Stockholm '84 on the Animalize tour. He discovered that by himself and put the correct sound to the video, and then he just put it out on YouTube. And guys like me, we like that, but I guess if you had that bought that thing yourself, it's not as fun. But this one from is it Coventry or is it the other Diplomat, which...
It was the Coventry, yeah.
The Coventry, yeah. Really cool, and the sound was great, and the picture was actually pretty good as well. So I haven't watched... I just started watching it when we started this show, so I haven't seen all of it yet, but it looks really cool, and I think a lot of Kiss fans will see this as their best Christmas gift.
Yeah, and please don't buy it from Archer. I mean, that guy is just a parasite. He sells everything. Another new show has started circulating as well. Less interesting than, obviously, 1973 vintage Kiss and makeup footage. It's an audio of, where was it? Greensboro, North Carolina, 1985. So I think it's December 29th. And that's up on Dime. And now I think Guitars 101. There's links. Don't buy it. Come on, people. Don't be stupid. It's out there for free. And when you buy the shit, it's stealing from the band and is never good mojo. But, the Coventry footage, I've had it for many years. And what I always loved about it was, again, what Jeff and Kurt pointed out about it, was in the original footage, if you slow it down, there's a little, blip that occurs on the tape when an even older bit of video of them actually rehearsing without makeup. There's 19 frames of that you can put together into a composite and see the whole band from a side angle without makeup sometime earlier that year. And probably the previous month or something would be my guess if they were reusing tapes on a nearly daily basis. And that was kind of the more interesting thing for me, throwing it into video editing software, taking each one of those frames and kind of building up the image. I put it in one of the versions of On Tour. So that was, again, pointed out by Kurt and Jeff in Kiss Alive Forever. And that footage, was part of, I think, of what was Kiss obtained for Kissology, but they only used the full show without the issue. So very cool that people get to hear it. I think they also mentioned another interesting point for debate, that the album was going to be coming out on January the 25th. Now, every year when people celebrate the album on February the 8th, February the 18th, and everyone gets upset, well, there was an original release date mentioned, but there's also documentation that suggests that the track order changed, I think on December 26th. So days after this, so I don't know what role that plays. There's probably more memos available to someone. Again, so the album was definitely aimed for the end of January. Something happened. It came out a couple weeks later. So interesting stuff like that. Check it out. It's up on YouTube. Someone's already destroyed the video, like making it really bright and pixelated. So there's a few different versions out there. Look on Facebook. That's where it originally came from. Very excited. Obviously, that other people get to share in it. I didn't pay for it, so that's one of the ones that I had I'm not burned. I just kept it private as, I gave my word that I would, and just used the image grabs, and that was it. So everyone gets to see it now, and they'll have forgotten about it in a day, as it's no longer legendary. All right, so what else we've got happening this month? Obviously, David Lee Roth was announced as going to be opening up some shows on the end of the road tour. What was like your initial reaction and impression of that? And have you ever seen David Lee Roth solo?
I haven't seen him solo. No, I haven't. I've seen Sammy Hagar solo, but not this guy. Well, I know you appreciated The Painter. I think you gave him it was okay. I never saw The Painter, but for me, anything but a painter has to be a step in the right direction. I would like, a real band opening up like in the old days. I mean, you get going and you build up the feel for the show and everything. I don't get that from watching a painter, I think. Last time I watched Kiss was at a festival, and that's kind of the same thing. You go and watch a band prior to Kiss, and then you go and see Kiss. I like the build-up with an opening act. But this David Lee Roth guy, I mean, have you seen his podcast or listened to it? He's way out there. He seems like a really interesting guy. And I've seen a few clips of him rehearsing for the tour, and he's still got the chops when it comes to the physical things. I mean, he can kick straight up in the air and do the jumps and everything, but he can't sing anymore. But really, David Lee Roth was never a good singer, so I think it will be fun. And it's in the same vein as the Kiss music, so I think it suits Kiss well. Yeah.
Yeah. He's an entertainer, and that was kind of the first question I asked: is he singing or is he doing stand-up comedy? Because if you've ever heard his podcast or you hear him on some interviews, he is special, to say the least. Yeah. So I could take either. If we're going from David Garibaldi, the artist, to David Lee Roth, the stand-up artist, I'm going to tell you a little story. And God knows where that show's going to end. It could end up like Andrew Dice Clay, or who knows what it could end up like. I love David Lee Roth. That was the first concert I ever went to, January 1987, Binghamton, Broome County Arena, Tesla opening. So I've got a little bit of a soft spot for him and his solo band, because I kept buying his albums up through. I think the last one I had was Diamond Dave, which had some really good stuff on it. David Lee Roth DLR band, which had John Five on guitar, was also highly thought of. I liked what I've heard of that. I hate Skyscraper with a passion, but Eat 'Em and Smile. Fantastic album. I was just hoping, maybe anniversary of Billy Sheehan, Bissonette, Steve Vai doing Eat 'Em and Smile, but he can't sing. And like you said, he never was a great singer anyway. But you know what? If it helps sell tickets and they need a little bit of help to get someone, I think it's a great combination. You've got, again, you're not getting Van Halen. No. So why not? And if David Garibaldi, I have no idea if he's still on there. I missed him at most of the shows I went to just because I was doing other things. I only got to see him paint once. I thought it was perfectly fine, perfectly entertaining. He was very engaging. I thought he did a great job. Would I prefer a traditional opening act? Oh, yeah, of course, if they had the right one. But I've very seldom cared about who opens for Kiss. I think Saliva I enjoyed when they opened, but for the most part, I don't care. So we'll have to see how it goes.
What kind of material do you think he will do? Will there be a lot of Van Halen stuff, or will he focus on his solo material?
I hope he just focuses on the stuff that he can do half decently. and maybe stay away from some of the stuff that his voice.
But it has to do like he has to do like Panama and stuff like that. Don't you think?
I would hope that he does a few of those big Van Halen hits. But again, I haven't really paid a lot of attention to him since DLR Band, which, what was it, 90s, and Diamond Dave, I don't even remember when that came out. So I don't know what he's been doing in his solo act, which is why I'm interested, because I don't follow him. I don't care. I've heard some episodes of his podcast, usually when they're outrageous and they make blabbermouth, or someone draws attention to them. So I'm going in there somewhat ignorant. I would hope Panama would be in there, but if he can do it, I would hope Jump is in there. Mean Streets, Unchained, Yankee Rose.
Yeah, I think it would be a great opening act for Kiss.
Yeah, California Girls, Just a Gigolo.
Yeah.
I'd take that. If he wants to do kind of the lounge, David Lee Roth, I would be down with that as well. Again, some of the stuff on Diamond Dave was kind of more the bluesy side or loungy side. So, wait and see. It'd be interesting. I don't think that rehearsal video does much to really get anyone that excited about him being added to it. But he's got a couple of months to prepare, or now only a month. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, 2019 recap, I guess. Where do we start with that? I mean, what was, I guess, your high point for the year? What's the one thing Kiss has done, or the things that Kiss have done that have made you happy this year?
Well, if we think of Kiss as Kiss and all the former members of Kiss, to me, of course, the Bruce Kulick concert stands out. Also because I'm an 80s Kiss fan, As you said, first albums we listened to were the albums from the mid-80s, and just to hear those songs performed by that band was awesome. Even though I wasn't there, it gave me goosebumps. I can't remember I guess the last time was the previous concerts by Bruce Kulick. I had goosebumps as well. And it's too bad they don't do anything more with that. Maybe after Kiss ends and there are no more cruises, he's able to do more of that stuff, because it was truly awesome. So that was one of the better things that happened this year. And then, of course, attending Kiss concerts. I saw them in Trondheim. It's always a rush, even though we all know the problems the band has today. Still a great show. The crowd was into it, and I liked the set list. And so those two things stands out for me. The live concert I watched, and Bruce Kulick.
Yeah, I guess similarly, I've thoroughly enjoyed Bruce's, performances that he's done on the cruise, and I'm glad I was there in person for one. But I'm also glad that people film everything these days, because you do get to enjoy the things that you otherwise would only hear about or maybe see little bits and pieces of. So thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm glad, or at least I think he's mentioned that he might like to do something with his band, which, would be very interesting. And I would be very positive about that, because, when we talk about some of the stuff from the past decade, his last solo album, proper, BK3, came out in February 2010. That was his official release date, right at the beginning of this decade that's about to end. So, Bruce, We need some more Bruce solo material, or we need some Bruce material as part of a proper band. Him on every single track. I would just love for him to do more. Then from the year, obviously, is also the Kiss concerts, the entertainment, the show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and obviously hanging out with friends and meeting new people at so many of these shows. But getting to go to some of the kind of these holy sites, Madison Square Garden, and seeing Kiss in New York City was a big deal for me. Obviously, they're a New York band, and I spent 10 years in the 78 to 88 living in upstate New York. So finally seeing them in my home state meant a lot to me, even though I haven't been back there since 1992. Seeing opening night of a tour, again, the first time I did that since Psycho Circus tour. Going up to Vancouver and not knowing what the show was like, not knowing what this, well, I had been on the cruise, so I knew what the set was going to be, unfortunately, but getting to witness all the show and the elements in person for the first time before it had been all over YouTube was great. No one could ruin the surprise for me, except for myself, by peeking at Keith LaRue's videos. And then going to the LA Forum, again, massively important venue out here, especially to history, with them recording a live 2 there. So Sacramento, that was where I did the guitar experience with Tommy Thayer, which was absolutely fantastic, thoroughly worth it. And again, a very high point to pick up a white Explorer, which I've always wanted, and to get Tommy's signature model. So the shows themselves, I didn't get bored of this set list. I know we analyze and microanalyze and say, well, they could do this, they could do that. I wasn't sick of it through those times that I saw it. The only time I got mad about a Kiss show this year was when they postponed Oakland. It made me wait until March. So probably just as well. So I've thoroughly enjoyed the show this year. I've enjoyed watching everyone else's shows as they've progressed around the world. I wasn't any more bored listening to the shows in Japan this past, what was it, 10 days ago. They just wrapped up there. So it's been a very expensive year for concerts for me.
But will you go and see them once more? I'm going to the Stockholm concerts this summer, so I'm going one more time. And you talked about going to the final show a little bit. I don't know. Will you do that?
No, I have no interest right now.
You have no interest in that?
Going to the final show, because I think it's just going to be such a poser fest of hangers-on and douchebags with egos. And it's going to be horrendously expensive, and all the tickets, unless they can find a way to sell tickets fairly so that everything doesn't just go on sale and end up on StubHub or some secondary market. That is annoying. I would rather they sell golden tickets themselves, so that if you can afford a decent ticket, then you are guaranteed to get one and not get gouged on the secondary market because Ticketmaster or some other entity has robo-purchased all the tickets. But I just think those first dozen rows would just be full of fake people, and I just don't like the idea of, this is the final show. And I'm also a bit of a doubter that we don't get a year later and, a casino, Kiss acoustic, no makeup.
Casino run. Yeah. But we also have to give props to Kiss for actually putting some effort into the show this time around, because for many years they didn't do much. When I think of this decade, the two things that stands out when it comes to shows, it's this one and probably the Spider stage. I think that was kind of a cool effort, a nice try to do something differently, because for a long time the stage shows were very similar. So I think they put in the extra effort, and it shows.
Yeah, I was really thrilled with what they did for the end of the road. They finally made an effort. They started thinking outside the box and brought in ideas that for a Kiss show were new. I don't care if Nikki Sixx is mad that they stole the cherry pickers that Nikki Sixx originally stole from Kiss, who had cherry pickers in 1977, but just hung them from the roof. I mean, come on. Nothing in rock and roll is original. It's all been ripped off and reimagined and ripped off again. So Kiss made the show good. I love the amount of pyro and fire incorporated into the show. I love the little elements that were like a hearkening back to an earlier era, even if it's Eric Singer miming piano, but on a piano that looks like the one on the Paul Lynde special, or Sam the Serpent spewing foam or what is it, fog on stage, and all those little things. I thought that attention to detail was wonderful. I thought incorporating all the video into the background and having a video display that wasn't just the gratuitous big screen behind them. It actually seemed to serve more of a purpose this time around. And thank God it wasn't a spider. It worked. These pods that they come down from the ceiling at the beginning of the show and Gene goes back up on, had video screens on them as well. So they really did a great job of putting a fantastic show together.
Yeah, but I did like the spider thing, even though it malfunctioned quite a bit. But I think it was a cool idea, and it also, kind of paid homage to the early days when they had the spider thing as a backdrop. So I thought that one was cool as well. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that stands out from this decade when it comes to the shows. I think those two are the ones that stands out for me.
Yeah, I think the other ones that stand out for me were the Sonic Boom ones.
It was pretty good.
The ones that bled over into 2010. So again, right at the start, I had seen most of mine in 2009, but some of the early ones, when they were still supporting new albums, I think stood out mainly because, especially the dates in South America in 2012, when they were putting 5 songs from Monster into the set and boring the audience to death with them. I found that musically very entertaining, that they were brave enough to try it, even if it didn't work out.
Yeah, the Sonic Boom tour over Europe was really good. I was attending that one. And I thought that would be my final Kiss tour, but it wasn't. But I remember them playing, I think they only played like 3 songs from Sonic Boom on that tour. And I went to that concert with my girlfriend, and she went out when they played I'm an Animal, and she always calls that song I'm a Snail, because she thought it was so slow and boring. And, well, it really didn't work live.
No, it was horrendous. But again, at least they kept trying. And, I think in this past year, we've had some more songs from that album performed live, finally, by Gene. So it's all good. And the crew, which cruise was it where they did? Was it this recent year? I can't remember. But it's improved. Towards the end of this decade, they're doing better on tour than they've done for the whole of the decade. I don't think the spider worked. It looked nice, but it really didn't have a whole lot of purpose. At the shows I've been to, primarily seen basically something that looks like a lighting truss that's fallen on the stage, and it's just been like a wall of amps and occasionally some metal piping. So it's been very unimpressive. I think the high point for me was probably the Motley Crue, the tour with the Crue, because it really felt like Motley made Kiss perform better. So I enjoyed those shows tremendously. What was that, 2012? Before, and of course they were doing Hell or Hallelujah for that tour. It was before the album even came out, so there was a new song in the set. But one decade, all they've released is one album, Monster.
Yeah.
What else have we had? We've had The Vault. We've had a glut of vinyl this year. How much of that vinyl has interested you? Because they're going to do more next year.
No, it doesn't interest me at all. So you're asking the wrong guy. I just went through my old vinyl today and looked at what's it called, serial number or whatever it's called. So just to see when and where they were produced. So I haven't done that, even though I've had the albums for 25 years or something. So that really tells you that I'm not really into vinyl and collecting that kind of stuff. But I think it's cool that they do it, and doing something with the music is always interesting in some shape or form, because a lot of times they get lost in all the merchandising and release a lot of crap, ugly looking dolls and whatever, all kinds of stuff. So I think it's good that they're focusing on the music, and I know many fans do like the vinyl re-releases. So I think it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good, but this is kind of the year that my passion for vinyl finally died. I've got a stack of vinyl that I've been pricing. I'm late listing it. So if anyone saw my post where I said I was going to be listing this stuff, I apologize for not getting around to it. But I had to see what kind of the market prices are for most of them, as they're all autographed, and I just don't care anymore. Each one of I didn't buy the Hotter Than Hell colored vinyl, or the Hot in the Shade, or the Walmart orange. I just don't care anymore. I went into my Kisteria set. I was like, geez, it just doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It really is the music. I was excited when the Metal Hammer little 7-inch singles came out, and they're up in a box still in the original thing that the person mailed them to me too, and I'm going to list those as well. I no longer care. I know there'll be more next year, and I don't care. But that being said, I was very impressed by Universal in Germany. The double platinum silver vinyl is very nice. I will enjoy selling that. It looked great. The Splatter Best of the Solo albums looked fantastic. So I was impressed by some of the things that they've done in terms of the ideas, but could not give a shit about keeping it. So I will get my act together and get those listed soon. Music-wise, again, we both kind of said that it was exciting when new music came out today. It leaked. So I just hope that continues to be the case next year. I know there's a couple of shows that are possibly going to surface, which should be very exciting. Vinny, of course, was selling shows, or offering for sale shows that he'd recorded during the tour, so who knows if any of those will make it out. They won't be soundboards, from what I understand. They're just boombox on the side of the stage, so God knows what they sound like. Prospect of, again, Bruce making new music. I'll take anything. Ace has Origins 2 coming out, so I'm really looking forward to that. I hope Peter decides that he wants to do something. That would make me very happy next year. And Peter, again, let's talk about the decade. Favorite memory of the whole decade, because for me, Peter Criss, who I just mentioned, is that one memory for the whole decade that wins hands down.
Yeah, but I think we should talk a little bit about the albums from the decade, because you mentioned Monster, but is that your favorite Kiss-related album from the decade? There were quite a few, Ace Frehley released a few, the Bruce Kulick album and others. Is there an album that stands out? We also have the Eric Carr record as well. There are a few, but to me, it wasn't Monster that was the best album, even though I always applaud them for releasing new stuff, because I thought the Bruce Kulick album was really good. I think that's my favorite still. And when you say it's 10 years old, it doesn't feel like 10 years old. I mean, I still listen to it from time to time, and I enjoy quite a few of the tracks. The one done by John Corabi, No Friend of Mine, and I'm an Animal was a great track. And my favorite song is probably Dirty Girl. We did it with the old Knack singer. I think it's just such a good pop song. So I'd say that's my favorite Kiss-related album from this decade. I think the Eric Carr thing was a fun album. I think he deserved to have something out there. And I liked the All Hell's Breaking Loose cover, even though it was pretty similar to the original. It was nice to hear. And of course, his own song, which I always forget the name of. Let's see now. It's the...
Who's this?
Eyes of Love. Is it called that? The Eric Carr song.
Yeah.
Through the Eyes of Love, yeah. I think that was a great song as well.
Yeah,
so,
Eyes of Love, fantastic.
Yeah, Eyes of Love, a real cool song. And it's too bad it didn't end up on a Kiss album at some point. But so to me, it's Bruce Kulick and his BK3 album.
Yeah, that's really tough because for me, it's all about Kiss, and Kiss's Monster has Long Way Down on it, which really is one of the most impressive songs that I never thought I would hear from a band in the twilight of their career. Just really good. But in terms of consistency, BK3, hands down, is probably the most consistent of any of the releases that have come out this decade, which Doug Feiger, as you mentioned, Dirty Girl, but that whole first 4 songs, Fate, Ain't Gonna Die with Gene, No Friend of Mine with John Corabi, Hand of the King, Nick Simmons, of all things. And then you get into stuff like I'll Survive, which is about Bruce being shot on, I think, the Sunset Strip. I'm the Animal, that was Tobias Sammet, and Eric Singer's on drums on there. So just an absolutely amazing album. That's probably why I'm so sad that Bruce has not had a full solo release since then. I'm hoping he's got something musically to say that comes out in 2020, and that this whole Kiss Cruise thing has kind of motivated him to go in there and make some music. You know, John Corabi's not a member of Dead Daisies anymore, so I would still like to see some reunion going on, even though it's just there's no commercial point for it whatsoever. But that's just because, you know, I love John Corabi and Bruce performing together. That's just one of those things. So I think, if anything, if he can reinvent himself in a band project with the Kulick guys, so Todd Kearns and whomever, Brent on drums perhaps, and someone else on bass, then it would be really interesting to see where he could go. And it's not going to be any more successful than Union, more than likely, unless he gets placement of a song with someone or somewhere, guest vocal perhaps, like he did with Doug Feiger. I mean, come on, he had some great guest performances on that album. So, you know, why not do that again, but in a band context? Maybe bring in a couple of these big-piped young singers who have a lot of popularity. Stay away from Taylor Swift, for God's sake. But have some crossover appeal. So you're still the Kulick Brother Band, or whatever you want to call yourself, and make some noise.
Man, what a cool double bill it would be with Corabi doing the 94 album and the Kulick brothers doing their stuff for the Kulick band. That would be awesome to see, yeah. I always liked the Motley Crue album with John Corabi. Yeah, I think it's one of the best records from that, you know, that era, 94, 95, there, somewhere around that. They managed to sound not as Kiss did with Carnival of Souls. I don't think they managed to get it right, but Motley Crue did a great album. Unfortunately, no one wanted to hear it, and no one went to the shows, and that was it.
Well, no one appreciated it at the time.
Yeah.
And as I certainly didn't. When I went in and bought that first CD single, Hooligan's Holiday, I was like, what is this crap? I did not.
I like it.
I still hate that. I hate that song to this day.
You hate that song?
I cannot stand it.
You love The Oath and you hate Hooligan's Holiday? Man,
I love the rest of the album. Give me Smoke the Sky. Give me Poison Apples. Give me 10,000 Years or whatever it is. You know, the Quaternary stuff as well. Dear, what is it, Father? So bittersweet. Even Planet Boom I like. So I like that era. I just don't like that one particular song. And it's just because in my playlist there's like 9 versions of it, all the way up to 11 minutes long. And it's just it goes on and on and on. I mean, it's as bad as my Aerosmith playlist, which has all these freaking remixes of Falling in Love is Hard on the Knees, like by Moby. And it just makes me hate the song. So... yeah.
When you read interviews with Mick Mars, he seems to appreciate that album a whole lot, and he has it as one of his favorite Motley Crue albums of all time. But I guess he's kind of a guitar-oriented guy, and he liked the twin guitars, you know, having another guitarist in the band, not having to...
Yeah, but he had his guitar tone again. He hadn't had a great guitar tone like that since Shout at the Devil. And that was where his guitar, for me anyway, sounded absolutely the best. Once... you know, Theater of Pain, which is like neutered, even if I do like some of the songs. Girls, Girls, Girls was very watered down production-wise. Dr. Feelgood, it was starting to come back, but it was more about the harmonies and the songs than any particular performance. And then you get to 94, and I mean, his sonics, his attack on his playing, and having the benefit of a rhythm player, and someone who wrote songs that were guitar-oriented songs with Nicky, you know, just made a complete difference. So yeah, you know, there's a great album. You know, what is it? MC94 live in Nashville, One Live Night. I think Phil Schaff's play on that. I think so. But you know, it finally came true. You know, that Corabi went out and did that whole album. So hope he continues to do so. That would still be a great opening act. You know, if David Lee Roth doesn't work out.
Oh, yeah.
Other albums that kind of stood out, I guess we got to talk about some of the Ace catalog, because he's put out Space Invader, Origins Volume 1, Spaceman. Am I forgetting any? That actually came out. So he's continued to put out a lot of albums. He's toured a lot. I've seen him 6 or 7 times this decade. Actually, way more than that. Probably 10 or 15 times. I saw him 3 on the cruise on its own. Saw Fraley's Comet reunion. Saw, you know, stuff like that. And 4 by Fate. So Ace has done really well. He's surprised me. I think if I got to pick one of his albums, and that also includes Anomaly, I got to go with Space Invader. You know, I think I like that one the best throughout. Spaceman, listened to a few times. It's good. It's not great, not spectacular, but I'm just glad, again, I'm very happy that Ace continues to make music, and long may he do so. What about you? What do you think of Ace's kind of output throughout the last 10 years?
It's awesome that he's put out a whole lot of records, but there isn't any record that stands out to me. I like the one, which one is it now? After Anomaly, the next album was...
Space Invader.
Yeah, that's the same one as you said, yeah. I think that one was the best one. And you had a few songs that was kind of rememberable. The title track and a few others. So I think that was a great album. After that, I think he's lost a little bit. And he managed to do 1 or 2 good songs, but... And my biggest problem is, I didn't think I would say this because I love his early and 80s solo stuff, guitar solo stuff, but I don't think he's done a memorable guitar solo for quite a few records. It's like he's lost a little bit of his touch, or maybe I've just... been bored by his old tricks, because he's not really doing anything new. He's just reusing his old stuff. But I think he's lost some of the melodic style that he has in his early solos, like the solo from Deuce or Parasite or that kind of stuff. I haven't heard a lot of that, because that was what I was looking forward to. Hearing those menacing solos that you could sing afterwards, you know, there were like songs in the song, people say, but I don't think I can sing a single Ace Frehley song
solo from probably the last decade. I haven't listened to the albums a whole lot, but it actually struck me that he can't do it anymore. Not the same way, in my opinion.
No, most of his solos just seem to be, here's a few of my aceisms.
Lazy. It seems a bit lazy, I would say.
He's got his little bag of tricks that have always been part, but where they were fresh and new and dynamic, they don't really develop. So he just throws something here, something there, and none of it's all...
No, it's not. It's not thought through. It's not like I don't think he puts in enough work into his solos anymore. Because Strutter plays the same note like 14 times in a row, and it sounds fantastic. So it doesn't have to be advanced, but you have to give it some thought and work on it, not just to put something on the record. So I think that's too bad. That could have actually made the records a whole lot better if he put in that effort, but I guess he didn't. And he seems to be the lazy kind of guy, In interviews, he even says it himself that he doesn't like to work a whole lot, and you have to work on the solos, I think.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna just congratulate Ace on a decade of sobriety. He's been sober this whole decade. He's gotten himself a lot more fit. I know people sometimes look at him and say, well, he's looking a bit big. Hey, he's vertical, he's sober, and he's making music and showing up on time. Every show I've seen has started on time, not after midnight. So he may be lazy, but he's still getting the work done.
What a turnaround. I thought it would be dead by now. Watching him in the late 80s, some interviews, being drunk and... after all the crashes with the cars and everything, but he turned it around. I don't know what did it. He mentions that his daughter had something to do with it at one point, that she told him, like, you have to stop or something. And I guess that's one of the things that made him, reconsider his lifestyle.
Yeah, maybe it was, who was it, Tie Me Down, Faster Pussycat, who was, I think, told that his liver was going to explode or something. Whatever. Ace is to be acknowledged, and that's why I get so upset when, his addictions of the past are mentioned in current interviews, because it really disrespects the effort and the challenge that it is for him to fight that battle day by day. So keep doing it. Going back to Eric Carr, we've had one and another one soon coming. So Unfinished Business, of course, was the album that came out, which had some of it was rough demo quality, some covers, and then just more of the archive. All of that is good, and I hope that continues to be the case. Rockology edition is coming out on vinyl for those people who still care about vinyl, and it's nice to see a lot of these independent record producers, Kiss My Wax, are doing their Space Invader on foil cover and slip sleeve, so there's a lot of things that are going on. E1 did their own special ones as well. So it's great to see all of these people continuing to put out product for fans. And I think that's going to be kind of the theme that continues into 2020, into the run towards the end of the road itself. So, in this decade, we've had a ton of music. We've had all these albums by Ace, one by Bruce, one by Kiss. Of course, there was also the Samurai Sun garbage. That has not aged well. I listened to that the other day, and I was just shuddering, going, okay, well, you know what? It was an opportunity that came along. It's like as bad as Cinderella doing a hot dog theme in 1984 or something. But, Gene Simmons dumped a whole vault load of material on us, which is now out there for everyone. So there's not been a shortage of music. I don't think we could complain. I think we could certainly complain about the lack of official videos. All that, what's come out? Kiss Rocks Vegas, which took two years after the event to come out. Kissology has not continued. That's been something that has been missed. Whether or not they actually have anything left that's worthy of release is a different question, but I know this lineup has recorded stuff. 2004 Monterey, they said they were filming, and I guess that might be the key, they said. I would certainly like to see more video projects coming out. And I don't know, were you on the board today, and did you see the post?
Yeah, I saw that.
About the documentary.
Yeah, that seems really interesting. They had made replicas of the early guitars. You know, that one that Paul Stanley had stolen back in 74, 75, somewhere there. And I don't know what the hell they were going to do with that, but sure is interesting. What do you think they will do?
Well, they are working on a biopic.
Yeah, but are they going to put that guitar on Paul Stanley and make him try to look like back in, I don't know what they will do.
They're going to put it on the actor portraying Paul Stanley so that it correctly portrays Paul circa 1974.
Yeah.
That was his go-to guitar until they went to Los Angeles. It's in his book. It's in quite a few of the things. The first week of the sessions for Hotter Than Hell, it got stolen from the studio. And Charlie LeBoux was a luthier who made Gene's original bass, that he then, I think it was like wood grained in its earliest carnation. Then he later painted it black and did all sorts of stuff. But Paul's, of course, got stolen. So they had a guy who made a miniature version of it. And Jim Cara, who I believe owns the LeBoux name now and the rights to those guitars from the LeBoux estate, created one and went and presented it to Paul. And Paul thought that someone had finally found his beloved 1973 LeBoux V, and that's how good a job he did. And of course, nearly 50 years without it, you won't remember every detail about it. But I think that's so cool.
It's cool.
It's awesome.
It's so cool, but it's also so typical Kiss. 1 or 2 years all after everyone else are doing stuff, they do it as well. So let's hope it's a good one, and let's hope the trend keep on, that people wants to see these biopics, because there are quite a few out there. So they need to get this finished if they want to have anyone watching it, I think.
I just hope it doesn't have the same effect at The Dirt. I think they can learn a lot from how Motley Crue did theirs. But also, I don't want 5 years from now, for them to finally be finished with this biopic.
Too late.
And all of a sudden say, well, now we're going to do our 50th anniversary tour. Get it done now. And it sounds like they're working on it pretty hard, which would be really interesting.
And it's really interesting to see how much Paul and Gene are involved in this one. I guess a lot. And that can make it a pretty, I'm looking forward to seeing how they will portray Ace and Peter. Let's hope they do it respectfully, so they don't take a jab at them once for a final time, And well, we've talked about this biopic thing before, and to me it's always, I've always hoped that Paul and Gene wouldn't be involved, maybe to a lesser extent, but they have kind of a warped view of how they want to portray Kiss, and they're not going for the truth. They're going for, portraying the big, mighty Kiss. And I guess when you read a book like Kiss and Sell, it's been like that forever. I mean, that's probably my favorite Kiss book. When they paint the picture of being huge, being great, being super Kiss, when they really wasn't that band. And I think that stuck with both these guys. Both Gene and Paul want to portray themselves as this, bigger than life personas, and at times, at least to me, it seems like Paul has some sort of megalomania thing going on with himself. So hopefully it will be kind of truthful and not the Gene and Paul story. We'll see.
No chance.
I'm not. We'll see. But if they are involved, it can be a pretty dull movie, I think. That's the problem.
Yeah, the downside is the victors write history.
Yeah.
And they, of course, are the principals who stayed in the band and owned the band and controlled the band even from the earliest days. So I just hope that they are gentle with Ace and Peter, and I have no hopes of them actually doing so. They're, because there's just too much, and you can read about it in Peter's book as well. If they take the stuff Peter put in his own damn book, then I think they can at least say, well, you said it yourself. But I just don't see them. They write their own version of history, and they write the other guys out sometimes. It feels. And I don't know what Ace and Peter think about it all. I just wish that they could call them and say, hey, we're doing this. What's the one thing that you really want to have in there? Involve them without giving them any editorial rights or anything, saying we're doing this no matter what. Is there one thing that you think we have to have in there that represents you? Won't happen.
I just wish they focus on the rise to fame and maybe end it somewhere around 77 or 78, somewhere around there. That would be a real cool picture.
I like to see them focus on the struggle, the disrespect, the challenges, because it wasn't easy. I'd love for them to write about the scene. Why was Kiss playing at the Daisy and, only at the Coventry when the Dolls were doing Mercer Arts? What was it, CG, whatever, the place where Blondie later played, can't even say it, Max's Kansas City, all these other places where these gigantic bands came out of the glitter scene. Why was Kiss not a part of their own hometown other than a few shows and very few shows at the Coventry and then out in Amityville for nearly everything else?
Yeah.
And they didn't play that many shows, so...
Yeah. There are quite a few problems they could focus on. Paul Stanley's need for psychiatry and his, feeling alone. Gene Simmons's abusing his sex appeal, or whatever you can say. And of course the struggles of Peter and Ace with drugs and alcohol. They need to put some of the dirt into the film and not make it a glossy Super Kiss film, because that will be so lame.
No, and it has to respect the road crew. That original Kiss crew who created the effects that were critical for them getting recognition, blowing hands off. Come on, Moose's fingers all over the stage, basically. Peter Criss's exploding drumsticks, setting Jim Dandy's curtain on fire. There's a lot of elements that could be condensed down into it, that if you then take it as it's a biopic, not a historical documentary, and enjoy it for the elements that are represented, hanging out with the guys from Rush with Bag on the Head and, the hijinks on the road. What was it? Sean Delaney against the Southern guys who didn't like those Northern freaks.
Bill O'Coin, Neil Bogart. I mean, there's a lot of it. So they need really to pick what story they want to tell. But if I would have to take a guess, I would say that they would try to make it like some sort of Super Kiss film where they try to put a whole lot of music into it, and then they can sell an album after the film has been produced. Maybe
they'll write a new song for it.
Yeah, maybe. Motley Crue had some great success with some of their new songs that they wrote for the Dirt, and you can see where it led. I think the reunion that is happening now is directly a result of that movie they did. Yeah.
Yep. So maybe they'll do Won't Get Fooled Again finally in the studio, because of course they went to a Who show, and that could be a good starting point. Kiss's version they were playing. All right, let's leave that there. That's a little bit of a recap of the last 10 years and of 2019 itself. Just some random topics that we could just get together and do a lighthearted episode today. Not a lot of seriousness here. It's nearly 2020, a new decade. Oh, we're into the 20s. God, going to have to start doing some weird dances. And they're just a little bit more than a month away from heading back out on the road. So there's a lot of stuff coming in 2020, a lot that we don't know, a lot that is yet to be publicized. So I think it's going to be an exciting year. When we look back at 2019, there's been a little bit of everything for everyone other than proper video releases. So at least someone let out some video for Kiss fans right at the end of the year, so it wasn't a complete bust. Now, go onto YouTube, watch that Bruce Kulick performance from the cruise again. Get a big old smile on your face. Daniel, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Let's leave that here today, and we'll see the rest of you in 2020. Have a happy new year, and we'll see you soon. So bye for now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.